They say the soul returns until the lesson is learned. But what happens when the lesson is complete? There's an old tale whispered by mystics and echoed through sacred texts, that every soul walks through countless lives, collecting wisdom, shedding karma, and ascending slowly like a mountain climber, rising toward the final peak. But there's one life, one moment in time, when the climb ends, when the soul has completed its curriculum. That life is unlike any other. You feel different. You see differently. People call you old soul, but it's more than that. You feel ancient. And the world around you? It no longer pulls at you like it used to. The chaos feels distant. The games, the drama, the chasing. It's like watching it all from a high window, detached yet aware. If you're reading this, something in you already knows this might be your final round on Earth. The signs have been showing themselves, subtle at first, then loud enough you couldn't ignore them. Let's reveal the 9 unmistakable signs that you're in your last life cycle, the soul's grand finale. Sign number 1. You feel a deep, unexplainable detachment from the material world, and it's not because you're failing to succeed in it. It's because something in you has outgrown it. The pull that once had power. The status, the money, the brand names, the social media validation now feels like background noise to a melody only you can hear. You're not bitter, you're not broken, and you're certainly not lost. You're awakening. You look around and see people chasing symbols, clinging to things, measuring themselves in numbers and possessions. And while once you might have done the same, now it all seems like a game you no longer wish to play. You didn't choose this shift, it chose you. It crept in slowly, through moments of stillness, through waves of exhaustion that had nothing to do with your body and everything to do with your soul. You began to feel that no matter how much you gained, it could never fill the invisible well inside you. And that was the beginning of your remembering, that you are not here to collect, but to complete, not to consume, but to contribute. This detachment is not apathy, it's evolution. It's the soul preparing to graduate from the school of material obsession, not because it's wrong, but because it's finished. You've lived through lifetimes where gold and glory ruled your decisions. You've known the hunger for power, the seduction of wealth, and the comfort of ownership. But now, in this lifetime, those things feel shallow. Not evil, not useless, just insufficient. You walk through stores and malls and feel no urgency to buy. You scroll through curated lives and feel no jealousy. And when someone asks what your 5-year plan is, you speak more of peace and purpose than profits and promotions. You crave experiences that nourish the soul, not inflate the ego. Conversations that stir your spirit, not just your ambition. You find joy in silence, freedom in simplicity, power in presence. And while the world might call you detached or even strange, deep down you know this is the soul's final act. You're not rejecting the world, you're transcending it. You haven't lost desire, you've refined it. You want less, not because you're broken, but because you're whole. This detachment isn't a flaw, it's a sacred signal. You remembered who you are, and the world can no longer convince you otherwise. Signal 2. You're a magnet for pain, but not your own. And you've known this for as long as you can remember, though you never quite had the words for it. People are drawn to you with their wounds exposed, their hearts bleeding, stories they've never told anyone else. And for reasons they can't explain, they feel safe unraveling in your presence. It's not because you ask or invite it. It's because your soul vibrates at a frequency that understands suffering without judgment. You've walked through lifetimes of heartbreak, betrayal, and spiritual fire, and whether you consciously remember them or not, your energy carries the wisdom of those scars. People can feel it. They know you've been through something, even if they can't name what. And so they lean on you, they confess to you, they bleed on you, and somehow you don't flinch. You listen without fixing, hold space without trying to rescue, and offer comfort not through words, but through your very being. You've become the emotional anchor in other people's storms, not because you thought that role, but because your spirit was forged in the fire of empathy. You carry a silent understanding that many never reach in 100 lifetimes. But here's what makes it sacred. You're no longer drowning in other people's pain. You feel it deeply, but it doesn't break you. It transforms through you. Like a spiritual alchemist, you don't store their pain. You filter it through the lens of compassion and return it lighter, softer, more bearable. You've learned to care without carrying, to feel without fragmenting. And this gift, this ability to hold space for suffering, isn't weakness. It's mastery. It means your soul has graduated from victimhood and now stands in the realm of healer, guide, and mirror. At times it's lonely. At times the weight of unspoken sorrow feels immense. But you've come to understand that this magnetism for pain isn't a curse. It's confirmation. Confirmation that your soul has evolved beyond self-centered survival and now serves as a vessel for collective healing. You're not here to avoid pain. You're here to help dissolve it. And the pain that once broke you in other lives has now become your bridge to others. You carry the medicine not because you were spared the wounds, but because you survived them. Side number 3. Your relationships are more about growth than comfort. And while that may sound poetic on the surface, in truth, it's been anything but easy. Because when your soul is in its final life cycle, the people you attract are rarely there to coddle you. They're there to awaken you. You've likely noticed a pattern. Your friendships, your romances, even your family dynamics, they don't follow the script society teaches. Instead of ease, you often encounter intensity. Instead of stability, you find transformation. The people who enter your life feel fated, almost karmic, as if you've met them before, because you probably have. These relationships come with friction, with mirrors, with lessons. They pull you into your shadow, they stir your deepest fears, and they trigger parts of you that you thought you'd buried. But here's the twist. These aren't toxic entanglements meant to destroy you. They're soul contracts designed to evolve you. You came into this life not seeking comfort, but completion, and the people you meet are the catalysts. They challenge your patterns, force you to confront your truths, and push you to shed layers that no longer serve you. And while others may judge you for letting go of relationships that don't look broken on the outside, you know better. You can feel when something has stopped growing, and you'd rather walk away in alignment than stay in stagnation. You're not interested in surface-level connection. You crave depth, truth, and emotional accountability. You'd rather be alone than pretend, and because of that, your relationships are fewer, but far more potent. You don't cling to people. You learn from them. You don't resent endings. You respect their timing. You're not chasing soulmates. You're attracting reflections of your evolution. Each connection becomes a sacred mirror, showing you where you still need healing, where you've grown, and where you're ready to rise higher. Love, for you, is not a fairy tale. It's a furnace, and only the brave can stand in it with you. But in that fire, real transformation occurs, not just for you, but for them too. Because your energy doesn't just take, it teaches. Your presence invites others to rise, to awaken, to question, to stretch. And if they can't rise with you, you bless them and let them go, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Because you understand what most people don't. Real love isn't always soft. Sometimes it's the force that burns everything falls to the ground, so only truth can remain. Time feels like an illusion. And though the clocks keep ticking and the calendars keep flipping, something deep within you no longer moves by hours, dates, or deadlines. It moves by rhythm, by intuition, by soul. You watch the world obsess over time, rushing, planning, aging in fear. And yet you walk through it all like someone who remembers a secret, that this life is just one chapter in an endless book. Sometimes entire days pass like seconds, and other times a single moment stretches into eternity. So vivid, so full, it feels like it contains the whole universe. You find yourself less concerned with what time is it, and more interested in what is this moment asking of me. Because the more awake you become, the more you realize that time is not linear, it's fluid, it's sacred, and it bends around presence. People tell you to plan 5 years ahead, to meet deadlines, to chase the future like a prize. But your soul is far more interested in divine timing than scheduled outcomes. You sense when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to listen. Not because a calendar told you, but because your inner knowing has become louder than the world's noise. Time no longer enslaves you, it dances with you. You notice how synchronicities arrive when you're still, how life responds when you're aligned, how magic enters the spaces where you stop trying to control everything. You're not lazy, you're listening. You understand that forcing life by the clock only creates resistance, while trusting the inner current brings effortless unfolding. Even aging feels different for you. You don't dread the passing years, because you don't see life as a countdown. You see it as a spiral of becoming. You might feel older than your age, or ageless altogether, because the soul doesn't wear watches. It carries wisdom from other lifetimes, and that wisdom tells you that time is not running out, it's expanding. And in your stillest moments, you sometimes wonder if this sense of timelessness is a sign that you're nearing the end of the soul's journey, that you've almost completed what you came here to do. Because when you stop chasing time and start honoring presence, that's when the soul is truly free. Sick number 5. You're drawn to solitude, not isolation. And that distinction has become one of the clearest signs that your soul is nearing its final life cycle. Because you no longer fear being alone. In fact, you crave it. While the world around you rushes to fill every moment with noise, distraction, and social validation, you find deep nourishment in stillness, in quiet spaces where no masks are needed and no roles must be played. It's not that you dislike people, you love deeply, you care intensely, but something within you understands that constant company can sometimes dilute clarity. You've realized that growth doesn't always happen in conversation. Often it blooms in silence. Solitude, for you, is a sacred sanctuary where you reconnect with yourself, recalibrate your energy, and listen to the whispers of your inner wisdom that get drowned out by the volume of daily life. It's in these moments alone that truths surface, that your creativity awakens, that healing begins. Others might see your preference for being alone as withdrawal, but you know it's not a retreat, it's a return. A return to your essence, to your soul's voice, to the unfiltered version of you that doesn't need to entertain, explain, or perform. You walk through forests and feel communion. You sit in silence and feel connection. You journal, meditate, reflect, not because it's trendy, but because it's how you breathe spirit. The more you embrace solitude, the less tolerance you have for superficiality. Small talk drains you, crowded rooms numb you, and you'd rather spend a quiet evening under the stars than a loud night trying to fit into places that no longer feel like home. You've learned that being alone isn't the same as being lonely. In fact, solitude has made you feel more whole, more rooted, more you than any crowd ever could. And in that sacred space, you've started to remember something. That peace is not something you find out there, it's something you uncover within. You're not running from the world, you're simply no longer trying to lose yourself in it. You know that when you finally feel at home, in your own presence, you're free. Because those in their final life cycle don't need constant company to feel alive. They carry life within them, and solitude becomes their sanctuary, not their sentence. See number 6. Your intuition is no longer a whisper. It's a roar, and you can no longer ignore it, suppress it, or rationalize it away like you once did. It doesn't ask for your permission. It commands your attention. What used to feel like subtle nudges or quiet gut feelings now arrives as undeniable knowing, sudden clarity, and sometimes even physical sensations that alert you to truth or deception before your mind has time to catch up. It's as if your inner compass has been fine-tuned to such a high frequency that you can sense the energy of a room before stepping into it, feel the intentions behind someone's words without needing proof, and foresee the outcome of decisions not by logic but by inner alignment. And while the world may still run on reason, your soul no longer does. It runs on resonance. You no longer need long explanations or second opinions to know when something isn't for you. You feel it instantly. You walk away from what others would tolerate. You decline what others might chase. And though some may call it impulsive, for you, it's not haste, it's harmony. Because when you're in your final life cycle, your intuition isn't just a tool, it's a truth teller, honed over lifetimes of mistakes, awakenings, and spiritual refinement. You've made choices before that cost you deeply when you ignored that inner voice, and now you honor it like sacred scripture. It shows up in dreams, in synchronicities, in repeated signs that seem too precise to be coincidence. You don't brush it off anymore. You trust it. Because you've seen what happens when you don't. Whether it's avoiding a toxic situation, knowing when to speak your truth, or sensing when to take a leap that defies all logic, your intuition has become your closest guide, your loudest ally. And with every choice you make from this space, you feel more aligned, more empowered, more whole. You no longer seek outside validation for your decisions, because you've remembered that the most powerful answers never come from others. They rise from within. Your roar of intuition is not fear-based, it's freedom-based. It's not there to warn you of danger. It's there to point you to your destiny. And when your life starts moving in harmony with that roar, you begin to understand this isn't just guidance. It's your soul's memory speaking through you. Loud, clear, and unshakable. Sig number 7. You forgive easily, but not because you're weak, and certainly not because you've forgotten the pain. It's because your soul has risen above the need to hold on to it. In a world where vengeance is glorified and grudges are worn like armor, your ability to let go is not a flaw. It's evidence of your evolution. You've been through enough lifetimes, enough heartbreaks, betrayals, and soul-deep disappointment to know that clinging to resentment only chains you to what broke you. And so, when someone wrongs you, you don't excuse the behavior, but you also don't allow it to take up permanent residence in your heart. You don't forgive because they deserve it. You forgive because you deserve peace. You've learned that carrying bitterness is like drinking poison, hoping someone else will feel your pain. And you're no longer interested in staying spiritually sick just to prove a point. You forgive, not to reopen doors that were meant to stay closed, but to free yourself from emotional prisons you once kept yourself in. That's the quiet power of someone in their final life cycle. They no longer confuse justice with vengeance or pride with power. You understand that forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation, and it certainly doesn't mean forgetting. It means releasing the energetic weight so you can continue moving forward without the baggage of the past. You've cried through nights that no one saw, battled your own ego in silence, and emerged with a heart that still chooses love. Love, not because it's easy, but because it's sacred. You've met people whose pain caused them to lash out, and instead of matching their fire with fire, you transmuted it with understanding. That's not softness, that's soul strength. It takes courage to keep your heart open in a world that keeps trying to close it. And when people wonder how you stay so calm, so grounded, so free from resentment, they don't realize that your forgiveness isn't a reaction. It's a choice to protect your peace, to honor your healing, and to walk in alignment with the truth that no one else's actions should have the power to dictate your vibration. You forgive because you've outgrown the prison of pain. You forgive because peace is your priority now. And in doing so, you prove that true strength isn't in holding on. It's in letting go. Sig number 8. You're unapologetically authentic. And it's not because you're trying to prove anything. It's because you finally remembered who you are, beneath all the layers the world tried to put on you. There was a time when you molded yourself to fit in, when you silenced your truth to be accepted, when you traded fragments of your identity just to feel safe in rooms that never saw you. But not anymore. Now, you walk into spaces with your full self intact. No masks, no filters, no watered-down version to make others more comfortable. You've realized that authenticity isn't rebellion, it's liberation. It's the bold act of refusing to betray your soul just to meet someone else's expectations. You speak what others only dare to think. You dress in alignment with your essence rather than the latest trend. And you make choices that reflect your inner compass instead of the crowd's direction. This raw honesty radiates from you, not in arrogance, but in grounded self-awareness. And while it may unsettle some, it inspires many, because in a world addicted to imitation, your truth is magnetic. You're not here to be liked, you're here to be real. And that truth makes you powerful beyond measure. You no longer apologize for your sensitivity, your depth, your vision, your boundaries, or your voice. You've lost people because of it, jobs, relationships, so-called friends, but what you gain in return is far more valuable. Peace, clarity, and unshakable self-respect. You know who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going. And even when fear whispers that authenticity might cost you everything, your soul answers back, it's the only thing worth keeping. You don't chase approval, you attract alignment. And when you walk away, you do so without guilt. Because you understand that shrinking for others never served anyone, not even them. Your presence, your truth, your very existence is permission for others to drop the act and come home to themselves. You're not perfect, but you're real. And that's your magic. You've outgrown the need to be digestible for everyone. And instead, you've chosen to be undeniable to the right ones. Your authenticity is not a phase. It's your frequency. And those who are meant for you will rise to meet it, not try to dim it. Because once you choose to live in your truth, you never go back to fragments. Signature 9, you feel like you're preparing to leave something behind. And though you can't quite put it into words, the sensation runs deep, as if your soul is packing invisible bags, tying up karmic threads, and quietly saying goodbye to a version of reality it no longer belongs to. It's not fear, and it's not sadness. It's more like a solemn clarity, an inner knowing that your time here, in this form, in this cycle, is nearing completion. You move through life with a strange mix of gratitude and detachment, loving deeply but without clinging, appreciating the beauty of each moment while simultaneously sensing its impermanence. The things that once captivated you now seem like echoes of a story you've already read. And though you still show up in the world, part of you remains elsewhere, tuned to a frequency beyond the physical. You might find yourself reminiscing without reason, or feeling emotional over simple moments, a sunset, a child's laughter, an old song, as if your soul is collecting memories like souvenirs from a sacred journey. And it's not death you're feeling, it's transcendence. It's the shedding of what's no longer needed, the release of attachments that once defined you, the preparation for a transition so profound that it defies language. You're not checking out. You're waking up. You're remembering that you are more than this body, more than this name, more than this lifetime. The relationships that matter have taken on a different weight, a sacredness, as if you're being called to forgive more easily, to love more openly, and to speak the truth while you still have the chance. You've stopped trying to build castles out of sand and started building peace within yourself instead. Your soul is moving in slow, intentional steps, less focused on doing and more aligned with being. There's a spiritual maturity in you now, a calm acceptance that not everything must be fixed, not every chapter must be long, and not every goodbye is a loss. You feel as if you're aligning with something eternal, something far beyond this world, and you no longer need proof. You know. The life you've lived is not ending, it's evolving. And the sense that you're preparing to leave something behind isn't about escape, it's about elevation. It's the soul standing at the threshold, not of an ending, but of a return.